Hello, welcome back to the Real People podcast. Today we've got Eytan to the afternoon. Eytan, if you just introduce your name, your age, where you're from.
I'm Eytan, I am 26 and I'm from Manchester.
Can I just stop you there? Could we do that again one more time, please?
Yeah, no worries.
So because of that issue there, we had no audio recorded.
Does that know when you're
All
ready?
good again, yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
Okay, cool. Everyone, welcome back to the Real People podcast. Today we've got Eytan to the left of me. Eytan, if you could just introduce your name, age, where you're from.
I'm Eytan, I am 26 years old and I am from Manchester.
Nice. Obviously, you know, new episode. We've got Eytan today. So Eytan, you're from Manchester. You still living here?
Yes.
Have you lived here all your life?
Yes, lived here since I was born. Did a short stint at Bristol for university for 3 years, but apart from that in Manchester.
What was, because Bristol is one of my favourite cities in the UK. What was that whole time?
Yeah, Bristol was unbelievable to be fair.
Yeah.
I think massive change of environment,
Okay.
going from school, living at home to living in university houses, and stuff like that. But no, Bristol was good fun.
What were you studying?
International business management.
Oh, okay. Did you enjoy it or?
Yeah, you know what? Loved it. I thought it's one of those courses where you don't know what you want to do, so you just
do something business. That's what I did.
GCSE did at A level and was like,
International business sounds a bit, you know what I mean?
It sounds a bit better than
just business. Yeah.
No, yeah.
If you could go, because I did events management and business in Leeds, and I did enjoy it, but if I could go back, I would have done something like history. If you went back, would you have done the same thing or?
So, in terms of what I could have, I did for A level. I did psychology.
Yeah.
I did religious studies, theology.
Mm-hmm.
I found psychology quite interesting, the brain behind people, why people choose to do things, and different theories. But I think for me, psychology would have been a bit too heavy on the science.
Yeah.
And business was more what I enjoyed. And you know what? University was fun. I learned a lot. I grew as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of courses, I don't think it makes too much difference what you do unless you're doing a medicine course or law, etc. So for me, not too bothered about the course. I enjoyed it and I enjoyed my experience at university.
Were you at uni? Because you're similar age to me. Were you at uni during COVID?
So yeah, my final year. So I graduated in 2020. The summer after COVID first hit in March. So my third term or second term got affected.
Okay.
At university.
Just in your last year, did you say?
Yeah, just last year.
Yeah, because my whole uni experience was COVID. I think it was March when it was first lockdown, and that was my first year. So your first year, you're still finding your feet, looking at the city, getting yourself into it, and then March you kind of getting into it, and then it was COVID, so I had to, so I went home, and then my second year was all online, and my third year actually I did a placement year, so I was in London for a year, and then my fourth year was the only year where I actually was in uni, but by that time it's I didn't have a relationship with the uni. Do you know what I mean?
That was really tough, going from normal university life in first and second year and the start of third year.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit and we got sent home, everything just stopped. And I couldn't imagine starting university when COVID hit, because you didn't have the going out, you didn't have meeting people. And a big part of university is meeting people,
100%.
Making friends for life.
Yeah.
And I've definitely made some great friends. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Unless you...
So I struggled with the change, going back to living at home unexpectedly when you've been at university for 2 years. It's really tough. But again, what can you do?
What can you do? I mean, what can you do? Because I was in my second year when it was that full on, remember where everything was closed, things started to open towards the end of my second year. What I felt really rough for was those first year students who were in halls. Yeah. And it was at least I was in a second year house where we had a garden. We weren't it wasn't the hall security going to tell us off, and some of the halls, I don't know what they're like in Bristol, but some of the halls in Leeds, they are, you wouldn't want to do lockdown in them, if that makes sense.
I've heard Bristol and Leeds are quite a similar environment.
Yeah.
Same, lots of people from down south, of course, and I know Bristol's got a lot of private schools, so a lot of different types of people there. I think that's with all universities though, but it's in second year, if you're in a house, you've made your group of friends, so it's a bit easier. In first year, you're still finding who
you have a lot of, I call it first year friends.
Yeah,
it's just because you get there and you're I just need to meet as many people as possible, so you're really open, really just trying to be sound with everyone, and then you like clock at the end of first year, like some people that your friends are like, I don't actually know, like I like them, you know what I mean?
Again, it's just about like put yourself out there, see who you get on with, and then if a friendship comes from that, great.
Yeah.
And then we actually were quite lucky. We had quite a good group of friends in the first year.
Yeah.
We actually lived in a 7-man house.
Oh really?
In the second year.
Yeah.
And that was quite a big group, and then in the third year we went down to a 5-man, but 2 of the people who were in our second man lived next door to us.
Oh okay.
There's another 3 mates who we were friendly with.
Yeah.
So we had like a 10-man house, 2 separate houses next door.
Nice.
So we had like a good group, and it was super fun.
We were in a 6-man in our second year, and then we had some good mates who were living in, I think it was like a 13-man, and they were like, I remember we used to go upstairs quite a lot, and it's like, I wonder if they're listeners, but they were all from London, 13 people in one house. It was, we used to go there on the weekend, it used to be mental. I mean, if I went to uni, I think I would have done history, or,
really?
I don't know, like, I did enjoy my course, but I was really interested in history.
That was one of the subjects I got told at year 9, drop it.
Oh, really?
I was more like geography than history.
People are normally geography or history.
To be fair, for me it was like essay
Drop
writing and history in like year 9 was like, describe the source or whatever. What source is this? I struggled with
not
that.
your strong point.
Yeah.
It's not mine either, I just enjoy it. It's not
You got to do
interesting.
what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What did you actually think of Bristol? Because Bristol, I've got a few mates from there, I've been there a few times, and I, like, whenever I go, I mean, it's normally summer, so, you know, when you go somewhere in the sun, you don't have a good, like, impression of it, but whenever I go, I just think it's such a beautiful city.
Yeah, it is. I think Bristol's a city in itself. It's different to Manchester, London, been to Birmingham. It's very different, I would say.
Yeah.
I loved it. It took time to get used to. I think the first 6 months getting there, I struggled a bit with sort of making new friends. Not like I struggled making friends, but it was just like a different environment for me. Going from school where you know everyone. I went to quite a small school with only like 80 people in my year.
Oh, okay.
Going to a university campus where I don't know any. I knew a couple of people who came from my school, but it was very, very different. But as a city, like super fun. Like the nightlife was really, like really bouncy, and lots of people there, and there was something for everything. And for everyone. Sorry. So. When it's sunny, like super nice. You have like the Clifton suspension bridge where people chill, and you also
is it the Downs as well?
Yeah, the Downs,
amazing.
Massive field of grass, and you play sport there. There was also like intramural football on Wednesday afternoon where I met quite a lot of people. So getting into sports there, but as a city, it had everything, and it was a lot smaller than your Londons, your Manchesters, but the people there were great, like super friendly, so kind, and like you could just speak to anyone there.
Whenever I go, I mean, I've not been for a few years, man, but I just think aesthetically it's so nice, like the buildings, it's just so different to Manchester, and like when you've grown up in Manchester and you go somewhere different, it's like wow, and it's in the UK, like wow, this is in the UK. But I think if I could go back, I think we would have gone to Bristol. Or I think because being from Manchester, a lot of people go to Leeds, it's kind of like the safe option, and I think I just played it too safe, and like
that's the thing. It is far from Manchester, and I was always set on going Nottingham. That's where my brother and my sister went. And I just thought when I visited them at university, I was like, I love Nottingham as a city. It's also only an hour 45, 2 hours from home. I was like, if I need to come home at a weekend, it's fine. Bristol was that much further. It's like southwest. It's like 3 hours minimum. And I was like, that's a journey. I can't come home every Friday. And sometimes I did get homesick, and I just couldn't get home. But I think once you settle there, and you get into the routine of like university life, and Bristol is a great city for that. It's a university city. Again, there's so many students who go who are super friendly, and it's a great city, and I'd advise anyone who hasn't been to go.
Get yourself
I talk about it now, like when people say like, what's your favourite city in England? Obviously my roots Manchester.
Manchester. But number 2 Bristol.
Number 2 would always be Bristol for me.
No, it's a great city. One of the things I want to talk to you about today, and it's something that's quite prominent at the moment, it's just kind of your physical journey, I'm going to word it. You've had quite a big year and a half in terms of looking after yourself, and just improving yourself, I guess is what I'd word it. I don't know if you'd word it any different. Could you just like give us a bit of a rundown in sense of like what you were like before, and then what you're like now, like physically wise, like how much weight you've lost, or do you know what I mean?
No. So I've been on a bit of a long journey in terms of my physical and mental well-being, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I've been quite thankful in terms of like my mental health over my life.
Yeah.
I think I've struggled definitely with specifically my weight, but in terms of knowing what causes my mental health issues, it's always I've been able to pinpoint it, which helps a lot. I know a lot of people who I speak to, and I'm a mental health first aider at work, so I speak to people. A lot of people find it hard to pinpoint why sometimes they're feeling down. With me, what's slightly different is I've always known the cause of my sort of mental health issues, or if I've ever felt down, would be down to my weight. I was born overweight. I was quite a heavy baby back in the day. But yeah, I've struggled through my whole life being overweight. And I think as I got older, the more impact it had on my everyday life and activities. I remember being like in year 4 or year 5, I'll never forget this, and like, you got weighed in school. I don't know if you ever had that experience. And
I can't remember it, but it wouldn't surprise.
I always got called out by a doctor saying, you're really overweight for your age, and I not get singled out, it was all private and stuff, but I just remember feeling super embarrassed that why me? And I think that is probably the biggest shift in my mindset from how I've started this, is always feeling sorry for myself versus, you know what, you've been dealt this hand of cards. In the grand scheme of things, I know being overweight and being obese is detrimental to your health, but I know a lot of people are going through a lot worse, so I need to just understand my weight is something I need to watch with my life, and I need to sort it out myself. I can't get anyone else to sort it out for me. So that's my biggest mindset. So I think through university I did lose a lot of weight, but at university I did lose quite a lot, but I had a lot of time to. University I only had like 9 hours a week, so I had it scheduled. When COVID hit and I stopped sort of having that lifestyle of 9 hours a week hours, and COVID hit, so gym shut, I put on all the weight and I got much bigger. So around 2 years ago, I'd say a year and a half, I just changed my mindset in terms of, right, I'm getting really unhealthy. I had a few triggers that made me switch, which is probably one of the most common questions I get now is, what made you switch? Especially people who knew me, how big I was. They're like, what changed? And everyone wants to lose weight now. Like it's all over.
That's what I mean. It's like the
and everyone asks me now. I get messages on my fitness account saying, "What made you change?" Like, and for me, it's not being able to do like everyday activities, but also it's a shift in that mindset. As I said, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're the only person who can change it.
Just crack on.
Just crack on. And there were a few things in my health that really worried me. That made me think, if I really want to have a family, have kids when I'm older, I can't be the way I am now.
You need to make a shift. You said when you were younger, so you said about being weighed in year 4.
I don't know the exact like when I was in primary school.
What was it like? Because I've always, I struggle with my weight from time to time. And I think, I think everyone would be lying if they've, if they've never said they've not thought about it. But I always think when, like, the bigger I am, the unhappier I am. And I kind of see food, I don't know what your kind of thoughts are, but when it's like, I see food sometimes as like having a drink or having a cig, that it's just like that kind of short-term little buzz, it just gives you that little high. And that's when I struggle with my weight, is when I'm kind of I'm unhappier, so I'm trying to get those like little endorphin hits from by eating, and then I just put on weight. When you were a kid, what was it like kind of knowing you were always on like the bigger side, and how did that kind of affect you as a kid? Or is it, because sometimes as a kid you don't really think about things, or you're not really as in touch with your kind of mental state as you might be now, but what was it like growing up with kind of being on that bigger side?
When I was growing up, I was like, I'd still say now, like I'm better at channeling my addiction in terms of sugar. I was addicted to sugar, food, and I was also an emotional eater. I think that's quite common with a lot of people, is if your emotions are not intact and not level. So sometimes you might feel really happy, or something's good happened in your life, let's celebrate with some food. If you're really down and something crap's going on, right, let's eat something to make me feel better. And when I was younger, my emotions would go up and down, and I'd always go to food. And being on the big side, again, I felt sorry for myself. Why me? Like, I played lots of sports when I was younger. I've always been interested in health and fitness, but again, the more I ate, the less able I was to do those sports, because I was just getting bigger. But again, I had the mindset, why me? And that doesn't actually allow you to change because you just feel sorry for yourself and you carry on doing the bad habits.
Yeah, yeah. I think the bad habits definitely is.
But I struggled, but it's one of them where the only person who can tell you to lose weight is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is yourself.
You said you've had a few kind of two journeys where you've lost weight and then you put on weight because of different things. I feel you're definitely like me where I'm either like 110% or I'm 0%. I'm either in a really good schedule, routine, bosh, or I'm just like nothing, no routine, and it's annoying because it's like I wish I could just find maybe like a 70-80% where I'm kind of in between, but I don't think I can. So I think it's always going to be 110%.
I struggle with that. I think finding a balance is probably one of the toughest things I find even today. Mm-hmm. I'm very all or nothing, and that's with everything in life, not just like my weight, my diet, but also if I set myself a task, if I set myself a plan, and that may be with like school or university, or even like work, exactly, even in my everyday life at work. Mm-hmm. If I set something, I put everything in, and I don't take any sort of short steps or shortcuts, because I want to prove to myself I can achieve something I put myself out to, and that is difficult because it's impossible. The way I lost the weight over the last year and a half, I was super restrictive in terms of my dieting. I also really increased my exercise, so my calorie deficit was not sustainable. I know that, and I really struggled. And even when I started doing more exercise, so I needed more calories to actually energize that exercise, to actually make sure I can do the exercise, so I have enough energy in my body. I really struggled increasing my calorie intake because I thought, if I increase my calorie intake by 100, I'll put on the weight. But again, that's just a mindset as well, and that's what I found really difficult, is finding that balanced, healthy lifestyle where every so often if you go out, you can have a beer, or you can have a drink, or you can have a piece of cake. That's what's difficult, is finding that balance, because I'm, again, like you, all or nothing.
Yeah, and this past week, I did marathon last week, but this last week I've not had I did this routine. I've not had my routine. I've been eating. I've just been craving eating, and but like this week, like the last few days, I've just felt so guilty, and I've just felt so like I can already like feel it creeping in, those like bad habits, and like getting to that place where it's like this is not where I want to be. So I'm really excited from tomorrow, even though never from tomorrow. Like I'm gonna start back into running. When you kind of got that, when maybe that first month when you like decided, right, a year and a half ago, you're like, right, no, this is the time, I can't do this to my body anymore, or do this to my mental state. What was that? Did you have like an exact moment, or was it just kind of a thought you were having over a couple of weeks? And what was that first month looking like? Because it's not obviously, you're in a really good position now where you can be, doing long runs and doing, whatever.
I am quite open about this, and I think it is quite a personal thing, what made me change. What I would say, it's not one exact moment. I think my whole life I've been thinking, what happens if for the next 6 months I just dial in and actually just make some sacrifices and change my life. I think that there were a couple of moments which really impacted me. I think one, I had a wedding abroad. And I saw pictures, we're in the sun, and it wasn't like black tie, but we were in suits, we were in clothes, and I saw the pictures after that wedding, and that broke me, seeing how I looked. So one, like looking at pictures and knowing how much I'd put on the weight that I'd lost like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that really put a
looking at yourself can be really
myself.
tough. Like looking at photos can be really
and
tough.
then also other moments was like everyday tasks, like sometimes I remember I'm a big United fan, as most of you may know, but went to West Ham away once, and I'm not sure if anyone's been to West Ham away, but when you come out the away end, they send you on a goose chase to get back to Stratford station, and I literally was like out of breath walking. There was a slight incline hill, and I was really struggling to walk 1 kilometre. Then we were on the 3rd floor at work, the lift was down, I was walking up the stairs, 3 flights of stairs, and I was like out of breath, like really struggling, and just like everyday tasks, like this was happening. Also, like one of the embarrassing moments in my life, and I don't mind sharing this because if it helps someone, I know 100%. People will be in the same position as this, but I've been to Alton Towers before, queued for an hour, and I couldn't get on the ride because it was too big. That that breaks you inside. Like
Yeah,
when you're with your best mates and you're all excited to go on a ride. And
Yeah.
right,
you kind of try to laugh it off.
Yeah,
but
no, inside it. Been on an aeroplane and like sometimes the belt's too tight.
Yeah.
It's like those like a normal person in terms of weight, not like normal, but in terms of weight, like doesn't even think about these everyday tasks, and like someone who's suffered with their weight their whole life. These are the sort of things like, oh, I'm going to fit on the plane when I go on the plane tomorrow before a holiday. Like, holiday's meant to be a happy moment.
Yeah.
I genuinely worry the night before a holiday, saying, am I going to fit on the plane seat? And like that constantly for 18 years in your memory and mind, just like constant, not scared, but like anxiety about it, really plays a part on you and takes a toll. So like all these moments started adding up, and I knew I could do it. I knew I've been 110% with my life my whole way. If I want to put my mind to something, I'll do it. It's just I wasn't at that point where I knew, right, stop feeling sorry for yourself, I'm ready. And I needed that, right, I'm ready now, let's just do it. And those points, like all those experiences they built up.
Yeah, definitely. I think the holiday thing, because there's definitely been a few times where I've maybe avoided a holiday or avoided doing an activity because I know I might have to take my top off, or and it does well on you. What at this period, what was your kind of mental health like? Was it something that was kind of dwelling you on a bit, or was it something that you were kind of just, you just kind of like don't think about it, because if you think about it, it's gonna.
It's really weird because I feel like I've been quite lucky in terms of like I've watched like movies, and even if you go on Twitter, like fat people get abused. I think I was really lucky that I've actually never really been abused for being fat growing up. And I got a great group of friends, and I think some friends who I was really close with would say, come on Eytan, but from the supportive, like sort your weight out. Not in that way, but they'd support me. But the only times I would be sort of really impacted for my weight was I played for a Sunday League team, and like I was overweight growing up, and the common phrase, fat kid goes in there. I was a goalkeeper. I couldn't run.
Street football.
To be fair, I was an okay keeper. Like I wasn't the best, but I could make a save. I could get my body in front of the ball.
You were going in there.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to go in there.
Yeah. So a few were playing in leagues, like strikers would call me names, and but you know what? I blocked it out because I knew I'd go back to school on Monday and I'd have a good friendship group. And you know what? If at school I would have been called fat or get bullied, which I didn't. I actually didn't once. That may have made my mental health worse. So in terms of like, obviously I was personally inside, I was really disappointed with how big I was, and I wanted to lose weight. But in terms of like my mental health, I wouldn't say it was awful, and I'm grateful for that because I wasn't sort of bullied at school, which was I'm super grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said before, like I've always been. Like how I see people who are like struggling with the weight, I see it as like it's like an addiction, isn't it? It's like, and you wouldn't like I was like you wouldn't laugh at someone who's like, addicted to drinking or addicted to smoking or addicted to anything else. You wouldn't. So I just think it's a similar kind of thing for me, and that's why I kind of never really get on someone negatively about their weight. So you're obviously quite big at a certain point. You obviously made that decision to make a change. What was that first month like, and what was like the first? Because you can't just start banging out 10Ks, and like you said, you can't just when people, I think some mistakes people make is they try and go too hard too soon, and when you they try and with calorie deficit, you can't just go from 3,000 miles an hour to under 2,000. You're just going to be burnt out. So what were those first kind of changes that you started to make?
So I do quite a lot of research on sort of what exercise is good for someone who's morbidly obese. I was like over 150 kilos, like I was a big boy. I think first and foremost, it's just about cutting those calories down, even by 200-300. And it's not necessarily like the quantity of food, it's more the choice of food you're eating. So I'd eat loads of carbohydrates, loads of fat. And the way I look at food now is like, what are your macros, what are your protein, what are your fats, what are your carbohydrates? And for me, I was doing zero exercise when I was at my biggest because I couldn't even move. I get tired from walking. So I was like, let's up the protein and reduce the carbohydrates and fat, because protein's quite filling, and eat more whole foods, and that really helped. And then I'd start just even a 5-10 minute walk. I actually started this journey around August, like nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, maybe it was about July, whenever it was, and I didn't start running till like that December, so it was like 5-6 months after, because I physically couldn't run with my knees, and I knew that if I started running at 25-26 stone, I was actually 26 stone, I would damage my knees, and that would do more damage. So it was even just walking, and for me, I think the biggest change was lifting weights. Lifting weights and strength training before cardio when you're that big is so important, because you know what, lifting weights, you're probably quite strong if you've got quite a lot of weight. When I was at my biggest, I was quite strong still because I had a lot of weight behind me, and lifting weights just starts speeding up your metabolism. And I've read loads of articles, I've watched loads of videos on YouTube and TikTok, the standard social media, and something I see, there's loads of different beliefs of how and the best way to lose weight, but everyone talks about strength training, and that's the one thing I started quite early. Like, it don't need to be heavy weights, but just get your body moving using lightweight strength training. That really speeds up your metabolism. And then steps. Steps is so important.
Yeah, I'm big into my steps. 10,000 steps a day.
Like, I actually checked, we were having a discussion with my mate at work, and when I was in London last week, my average steps over the last year is 19,000.
Wow.
That includes some of my runs as well. But even on my rest days, I get minimum 15,000 steps now. And I'm not saying do that. That's me being excessive again. 110%.
It's one of those small changes though that you can change straight away.
I walk everywhere now. Like I walked like a 35-40 minute walk, and I could have got the Met. But I love walking. I just get that into my routine. Remember, me and my mum always talk about it. She literally, when I lived at home after university, she couldn't get me to walk to the Met, which was a 10-minute walk, because I was so overweight and I was lazy. Now, I go on hour and a half walks with her, go on hikes at the weekend sometimes, because I just love getting the steps in.
Yeah, I think what's really good to like speak to you like now, because like we said before, fitness is such a like prominent thing, and it's such a kind of thing that's everywhere, and obviously there's a lot of like social media influencers, and everyone is like selling their own kind of plan, and everyone's like, you know, don't do that, do this, don't do that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think at the end of the day, move more, eat better. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're going to lose weight, you know, but it's good to hear those like small changes, because you can't just go from, you know.
It's for me, it's improving the 0.1% every day, and that's so cliche, but it actually is. Like, for me, like I used to smoke quite a lot, like my parents knew I smoked and they hated it. My grandparents all died from smoking, so like it's criminal for me to smoke, especially at that weight. So I was like, I actually didn't stop smoking straight away. I started losing weight first. Because I was like, I'm not going to give up 2 vices at once. I would really struggle with that if I just went cold turkey. But I started cutting down smoking, and now I've not had any nicotine products. So I went from smoking to nicotine lozenges. And then I've not had a nicotine product since like May last year.
Wow.
Any nicotine. So not even the lozenges anymore. I don't... and that also helped with my mindset, like getting into my running, which I'm sure we might touch on in a bit. But like, I've just gone completely 180. I've changed my life, and you know what? Friends and people had such an impact on me. Like my family have been great. They've been like even giving me the small compliments. Oh, you look really good today. I'm so impressed. Like friends saying it, and everyone like supporting on your positive life journey is super important.
Well, it's definitely like, I think I said to you, it's one of the most like amazing things I've seen live, and because obviously like, you know, me and Eytan used to work together, and it felt like because I think I saw it over the whole journey, because I started working there as you would like started your journey maybe, and it felt like I just didn't see you for a few weeks, and then next time I saw you I was like, wow. I think it was that summer party and you were in a shirt, and I don't think I'd even like really spoke to you before that, and I was like, I think I just said, wow, you look amazing. As you know what I mean? I don't even think I said my name to you at that point. Because honestly, it's like the most amazing like thing I've seen live, and it's just like I sort of talk to it about other people, and it's just like, you know, it's just like total like respect and total like you've done an amazing thing, and but you should deserve that positivity. Do you know what I mean?
No, I appreciate that. I mean, for me as well, like, I think the UK specifically has such a pub culture. And like when I was big, like I didn't think, but drinking for me, I drink, and that would like spark me like waking up the next day feeling really
Yeah, it has
down.
an effect on you.
Like, for me, alcohol's a massive depressant. Every time I drank at uni, the next day I'd wake up feeling awful.
Yeah.
And even when I was overweight, that would like heighten my feeling of feeling crap in my body.
Yeah.
So everyone knows now I'm not a massive drinker. I wouldn't say I'm like sober because I would every so often, but I've not had a drink now since December.
Okay.
And
Well.
we're in what day? It's March. So
March. March.
to be fair, I'm doing it primarily because I've got a race in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Manchester, my first marathon.
There we go.
Gotta mention it. Everyone says it's my personality now, but yeah.
So it's a good. I don't know. It's a good personality to have. Actually. You know what I mean?
It's better, but even like when I go out last year, when I was on like my health kit, one of the first things I sort of reduced was my alcohol. Because one, I only drank alcohol because everyone was going to the pub. Like, do I genuinely enjoy alcohol? Like, I know some people like Friday night after work, I can't wait for a beer. For me, after Friday night, over the past year, I'm like, get me home, like, I'm tired.
Well, you just made that shift in your life.
Yeah. Whereas, like, when I was overweight, I just drink beer or drink vodka, whatever it was. And that, I'm genuinely not a big drinker. And I drink every so often, but it doesn't bother me. And that also helps with weight loss. Like, beer's not good for you.
Oh no, definitely. And definitely, you know, you said really like that the day after, because I'm a bit like that, where it's just like the day after where I just like, you lose that kind of sense of like my normal decision making, so I just make bad decisions in terms of like, should I cut myself something or should I just go get a fry up? Like, you know, and you can start to make those bad decisions. Now you kind of, just before we move on, what would you say like? How is your mental health now that you've done this amazing thing? Because you must want to have a side of you like, I'm buzzing, look at what I've achieved. But what is like the difference now in your mental health? Are you more confident? Are you more? Do you know what I mean?
I'm definitely, I would say I'm more confident. I think I've just moved role in my job, and I'm now like presenting to people, I'm training people, and I'm getting, like, I'm standing up in front of 20, 30 people. Like, doing a full induction for 2 weeks, and I don't think if I was where I was 2 years ago, I would go for a role like this. But I'll be completely transparent in terms of, I still sometimes like look in the mirror and have body dysmorphia. I think that's normal. Like I've spoken to a like therapist before, I'll be honest, about looking and feeling good in my own body, because I've for 25 years of my life known myself to be quite overweight. So when I look in the mirror, I see myself as this big guy.
You still.
And like now I look in the mirror and I genuinely don't see myself as like a normal weight, as you'd say it. And like even like I did a Manchester half marathon in October, and I did the Media City in Feb, and I've had people like come up to me when we were on the finish line who were like, well in mate, you look like you smashed that. And also like these guys were all like tall and skinny, and I just ran at the same pace as them. And I'm like, for me, that mindset of like, I kept up with a guy who just looks normal, like I must be. And so I think mentally I'm more confident, and I think everyone's a bit more in touch with their mental health and they speak 100%. About it a bit more. But I definitely still have moments where I'm like, I don't feel as confident as I should.
You still see yourself as before instead of
and
what now.
I don't, and I'm my biggest critic. Like if I have something bad to eat, I'll like dwell on that for a long time, and that will make not spiral out of control in terms of like my mental health, but I'd struggle getting back on track sometimes. And I just need to sort of take a moment and look. This is where I was a year and a half, 2 years ago, and you're gonna have setbacks. I think it's the way you pick yourself up in setbacks. And I've had over the last 2 years setbacks, and I've been really down, and I've really struggled. I'm like, is it even worth it? Like, should I just go back to my normal habits? And I'm like, no, take a moment, go on a walk. Change your emotional eating to like exercise or activity, and it helps.
I think one thing that I've definitely struggled with over the past is, you know, where you like make that like I am gonna change, and then you have like maybe one day off, like let's say like you had a really good Monday, like you went for a run, really good Tuesday, went for a run, and let's say Wednesday you like, if I ate rubbish on a Wednesday or had a meal where it's like rubbish, I'd be like, I have to start again on next Monday, and I would just spiral for the rest of the week and just eat rubbish and not train for the rest of the week, and it's like, because it's like something in my head was like, I have to start on a Monday, or like after you know, and instead of just being that, have a bit of rubbish, that's okay, you know what I mean, I'm a human being, you can still enjoy a bit of food here and there, Thursday, bosh, back into it, do you know what I mean?
I'm kind of lucky in the sense that my whole life I've tried diets. To be fair, I've had some moments growing up where some diets have worked better than others. But I've tried that so many times, and I've known that fails every time. Of right, I need to start on a Monday. Like I've done that so many times. I could say over 50 confidently. I've done that over 50 times. Right, I've had a bad day. I'm going to start again on Monday. That just spirals out of control. Yeah. So from experience, like I know that I'm getting better with if I have a bad day, or even not if I have a bad meal. So for breakfast, if I'm feeling, and I don't do this a lot, but at work you get breakfast provided. At work, for example, they have like pistachio croissant. If I have a croissant and then I'm still hungry and I go to the shop and buy like a sandwich, I'm like that. I know it's not high in calories, just a croissant and a sandwich, but in terms of like your macro, it's just carbohydrate, it's not much protein.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's the mental side of it as well.
And I'm like,
just doing it.
That's fine. And what's important now is your next meal, make dinner, make it protein heavy, so you get your protein amount for the day. And you know what? I get better. I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone will be perfect at that. But it's just about you allow the odd bad meal. Like, it's not going to kill you. Like,
it's the mental side.
It's tough. It's really tough. And I think what's so hard is like being comfortable, knowing that it's okay to have a treat meal or have something that's not healthy. Yeah. Because I think the agenda now on like social media is you need to be perfect, and everyone lives like social media. Everyone lives this perfect life. No one lives a perfect life. Everyone has their own battles, and for me, again, mine's with like weight and all of that. You see all influencers who are like got the best figures and are super strong. You think they just 24/7 are on it. It's probably not true. Like it's impossible to be like that.
Well, you got enjoys. Just before we move on, sorry, one more question. If you had to like, let's say if someone was in a position you were in a couple of years ago or when you started, what would your kind of like your like three or what would your three like these are your three must do's for your first month? Of like trying to change your life.
Yeah, I think steps is super key. I also think like it's hard to like quantify it into a first month period. I think for me it's allow yourself to have step backs, but it's not going to be overnight change. I think consistency and showing up every day is the most important thing I'll say. Again, you hear that in everything at 0.1%, but I 100% would advocate for showing up every day, even if you don't have a good day, just know and look at the journey you've been on. And I think taking pictures from where you start and like taking a picture, not every day because it might get a bit obsessive, but showing some progression really helps and seeing results. So
once a month I normally go for that if I weigh myself.
To be fair, I'll reduce it. I weigh myself. I'm better now. I used to weigh myself too much, but now I weigh myself once a week, and I keep a record of how much I weigh from day one to even today. So it's good to see the progression, but consistency is key. And I also think and I'm lucky. I'm close with all my family, and I've got a close friendship group, but get them to support you. Like, there's nothing harder than your friends saying, let's go out for beers or let's go out for drink, or let's go out for dinner. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go off track on my diet this week. My friends would always let me pick a restaurant, or they wouldn't suit me, or they wouldn't, like if I went out for drinks one night and I was just drinking lemonade or Slimline tonic and whatever they drink at, or even if I just had water, they wouldn't even ask me questions. And I get that in work sometimes, like, oh, you're not drinking, like that pressure to drink. I told my friends that I'm not drinking, but I'm happy to come and socialise, and literally they don't care. And most people don't care if you don't drink. So it's one of them, like, get your friends involved, like they will support you, like you're making a healthy lifestyle, so don't be ashamed of it, because I was definitely ashamed of my weight, and I probably still am looking back, but like getting people involved in your journey will really help. And it's tough because it's very easy for me to say because I've got a good friendship group and I've got a close-knit family, and I know not everyone is that supportive, and I appreciate that, but yeah, definitely if you've got someone who can support you, get involved. And I'm not saying pay for a nutritionist or pay for a PT, but I have done before and it does work, but I've also paid and wasted money on a PT that hasn't worked. So that isn't always the right answer, but it may be. If you find your person, it can work.
Yeah, I mean my biggest advice would be like find a routine that works for you. You've got to find what works for you. If you don't mind me asking, how much weight have you lost then?
So now I weigh around 85 kilos, and I was like, I've lost half my body weight, so I was around
Okay, wow.
160,
Wow.
162, so
Yeah.
just under 80. I can't even do the maths. I think around 82.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
technically half you. I mean, it's you know, it's
Yeah.
amazing, and obviously, like I said, I saw it live,
Yeah.
so it's like amazing. The next thing I want to talk about is actually how we became friends, and that's running. I think, obviously you said, you know, we talked about it a little bit, and I've mentioned, you know, you're training for marathon, because the first, when me and Eytan became friends, it was running. I think that was one of our first conversations, it was about running and going on a run together, and we did that hot, I think we did like 17, 18k around Manchester.
Yes.
And I think I didn't really know you before then, or like we spoke a handful of times, and that was the first time we spent time together.
It was weird because I remember seeing your face in the office.
Yeah.
I've been in the job for quite a long time, so I know quite a lot of people in work. I've been there nearly 6 years, and I just remember you joining.
Yeah.
I didn't know you, I'd never spoken to you, but
Yeah.
you'd always be in the office quite frequently, and I'm in the office every day. I live like 5 minutes from the office,
Yeah.
but we'd never really interacted.
Yeah.
And then I think I posted on the channel about a run club that so I didn't set up, but I was just like encouraging people to join the run club, because again, doing sports and exercise with people is so much funner.
Yeah.
And I think we just got talking randomly about
Yeah.
running, and then we were like,
And it was
let's
like,
go on a run.
Yeah. Can you, like, because obviously running, like, I think it's one of the best things that you can do. I think even just going for like a 5k, it's like, that's a challenge, you know what I mean? So it's like challenging yourself every time you go for a run. What has like running like done for you? And not even, it's just in a sense of like, you know, a physical side, just like how important has running been for you?
Massive. It's one of them, people say, how do you like running? Like, I hate it, and a lot of people hate it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I couldn't run 100 metres when I started, and I had a real phobia of running outside because I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is literally walk on the treadmill, and then week by week go a bit quicker.
Yeah.
Reduce the incline, so I'm just doing it flat and increasing. And for me, like, just knowing that I can improve week by week, like the endorphins I got from that was huge. I can tell, like, my first 5k, I didn't do a 5k straight away.
Yeah.
Like I did like 100 meters. I literally started from running for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Then I think my first 5k was in December. I genuinely think like my first 5k in like forever. I did a couple at university when I lost a bit of weight.
Yeah.
But my first 5k I think was like 52 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, you know what? That was on the treadmill, which is meant to be easier than running outside.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, just the accomplishment of running for 52 minutes without stopping.
That's quite.
And that's quite a long
running.
time. Obviously, it took me like 6 months to get to there.
Yeah.
I can't remember how long it took, but like from just walking 100 meters to like running for 20 seconds, like, it's a huge achievement. And like the endorphins I got from that were crazy, and that's when I started like proper picking it up. And
Improving.
you know what, I'm very thankful. One of my good mates at university is like a running influencer, and he's helped me loads, and he really showed me like the thrill of running. And I think there's quite a community now. Like there's so many people now who run, and even at work I've made friends from just like the run club.
Yeah.
But like me seeing the progression.
It's
Really,
mental. You know, when you do your first
yeah.
5k, you're like, God, that's so tough to where you are
Like
now.
genuinely, 2 years ago, if I said I could run a half marathon, I'd be laughing.
Yeah.
Like I got a marathon. I did a 32k last week.
Yeah.
Like without stopping.
Yeah. It's
Quite a quick time as well. So like I'm just like the endorphins I get from each one is just crazy, and it helps, and it's really helped me like level-headed myself in terms of. When I go running, I do sometimes run with people, but I do a lot of running on my own. Put my headphones in, put a podcast on, and I'm not even listening to the podcast, I'm just in my own head, like just appreciating being able to go outside and run now. I know that sounds a bit cringy, but like I've always loved sport. You can ask any of my friends and family, I'm always into my sport. And I went a long time being unhappy with my weight, not being able to do stuff, so the fact that I can do it now, I'm like thankful.
To get back to sport. I think because I was going to say that actually before, because you said you were in sport as a kid. I think similar to me, I played a lot of football as a kid, and I was just one of those like people that could play a sport, and I was naturally like gifted enough to just play any sport really. And I think when I've gone on my journey to like put myself in a better physical position, because I played sports, it wasn't so like alien to like doing sport, so that was really nice when I got into running. I wasn't like, you know, people who maybe weren't sporty as a kid and then they put on a bit of weight and they like, you know what I mean, it's a bit not, you know, their first kind of, you know, not really normal for them.
No, for sure.
When you did that first 5k, what did you know? What was your feeling? Were you buzzing? Were you like?
I was destroyed. I think it took me a week to recover.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I was so gassed.
Yeah.
Like, I've just run a 5k, and you know what? Everyone gets caught up now. Oh, everyone's running marathon. Like genuinely, 5k is impressive. Like, I sit by it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have like your own goals and aims and where you want, but everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah.
And I struggle with this sometimes.
You're running your own race.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
I struggle sometimes like comparing myself. And I shouldn't be, because I've been on a completely different journey to most of my friends.
Yeah.
Most of my friends, I'd say, haven't struggled with weight. Some have,
Yeah.
but like they've always sort of like been quite athletic and can run 5k easily. I remember like
some
school,
people can. Some people just
yeah.
like not train and just whack out a 10k. Like,
I remember in school I got out of like, I don't know in your school, but they made you do cross country every year.
Yeah.
And I was like super overweight. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'd like sit on the step and like just refuse to do it.
Yeah.
And the teachers would actually just say, "Fair,
Yeah.
this guy's big. He's not going to run 2 kilometres. Like, why are we going to force him to do it? It's child abuse."
Yeah.
So like at school, like they would do it every year, and my mates were like pretty quick. But I just try and I'm on my journey and like do what makes you feel good at the end of the day. But again, running, even when I run now, like during the run, like I don't always feel amazing. Sometimes I do, and like I go out and I'm feeling good. But sometimes, even today, when I've been running like quite a lot for the past year, I still feel crap sometimes. But I know that when I finish, I never regret it.
Yeah, definitely.
So just being more active, being like, don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest tips, because there's always going to be someone quicker than you, or there's always going to be someone who can do whatever.
You're never the quickest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, same again. What would your tips for run starting? Because it's starting running is a challenge. Like how I explain like running. Same like when you're in that schedule, you can do it. But when you're not in that schedule, it's so hard to. It's like a run. When I'm actually on a run, if I stop, I find it really hard to start again. And that's what I describe a running schedule like. If you're not in that schedule, it's really hard to start. Same again as I can ask you before. What would your tips for getting into running be? Like, what would you like? This is what I do first. This is
Yeah. What I'd say, to be fair, some people genuinely hate running.
Yeah.
And I genuinely hated running, but I don't know if that was because I was super overweight and I just couldn't do it. But like, if you don't like running, don't run. Yeah. Again, what I think we said it earlier. You need to find something that
find your own routine.
If you hate running, don't run because it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoy it, so I'm going to carry on doing it. And I know that will make me stay a bit athletic and get me into the good routines. But if you don't like running, don't. Like, I love squash, I love paddle, I love tennis. Like, I played all different types of sport. If you find a sport you love, do that sport. Lots of sports these days, you can build like a community, you can make friends. And I think doing something with someone really helps. Yeah. So I found a running group that I run with, and that's super fun. And that makes me want to go again. And I'm meeting people, I'm making friends, and I'm having fun time. And it's not just about the running. Yeah. But if you don't like running, I'd advise find another sport you like. Or if you love the gym, go to the gym with someone. I've been to the gym with people at work. I've been to the gym with friends at home who I mates with from school. Just do something you like doing with someone, because that really helps. And you also, and I believe this completely, you keep your friends accountable, and they will keep you accountable. So if you agree to do something tomorrow or next week, you will do it, because no one wants to sort of cancel. Yeah.
And you're doing marathon, aren't you, next month?
Yes, 5 weeks.
How you feeling?
Good, to be fair. I've got 2 more. So I've had a deload week last week because I did 70k last week. So my muscles were hurting, but I've got 2 more like big weeks starting tomorrow.
Then you're gonna start
doing around 75-80k.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
But
I think the most I did was like 60k.
I've got a 35k on Sunday.
Is that the most you're gonna do?
That's the most I'm gonna do.
More.
I was speaking to my mate. I'm gonna put some marathon effort in there.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I just want time on my legs. It's my first marathon. I've done quite a few halves now, but it's my first marathon. Again, I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't want to put too much. Like again, on the day, I'm going to put pressure on myself. I know who I am. I'm not 100% effort, but just from where I've come, I'm just going to
enjoy it.
I
think that, like, because obviously I did it, and I obviously did what everyone told me not to, and went too fast at the start, and then that blew up maybe around 35k. But I was speaking to my mate about it, and I think one thing, because marathon, a lot of people do marathons now, and everyone's like obviously going through time, and I think one thing people forget now about marathons is like the sense of achievement of just doing one, just like whatever you do it in, you know, it doesn't matter, like you've done a marathon, like fair play, you know what I mean? Saying that, I still want to do another one and get a better time, but you know, it's just that sense of achievement's being taken away.
I did that in the Media City half, did what you said you did, go out too quickly, so I was going for the Media City half, like, I was going for like 4:45 split, first kilometre I did 4:25.
Yeah, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot, like, after a period of time.
And then the second K was 4:35 or something. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I was like, I've got 19k left and I'm already
well,
out.
yeah.
My heart rate was already like 170.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. But luckily, like, I did slow down, and at 18k I was like, it's my own fault. But again, I'm just going to make sure that, and I say this now, I know on race day it's going to be so different, like my mindset, but I don't want to blow up, because 42 kilometres is such a long distance.
It's a long way to go, And it's always good, like, one of my tips for running is like always save a bit for the end. It's like I always have a big finish, just because it's that sense of like.
I also don't know, it's my first one, so I'm chatting like I know. I'm genuinely.
Next episode, Eytan didn't finish.
Imagine, I'd be gutted. I don't know.
Are you running it for charity or anything?
I'm in the like process of like organising. I'm hopefully going to get that done.
Well, let me know and I'll share it. So I was going to say if you were, you can share it anyway.
I'm speaking to a charity as we speak. I'll share it with you. It's not confirmed yet, so I'm not going to share it.
I was just seeing if you did.
I know it's quite late notice. I did get a place for the like ballot, so I've not actually organised a charity, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay, cool. As a last question then, I can ask everyone this. I still haven't found the right way to word it, and I say this every week or every month. What would like your one kind of thing that you want people to know? It's like, it could be a statement, it could be advice, or it could be like, this is what I want people to kind of take on from this, like, you know, listening to you, and then this is your final bit of, say, advice or something that like, this is what I want you to take on in living your life, you know, what would be something you'd want like people to kind of know, like, about you, or just about changes they can make to their life?
I think for me, like, going on this journey that hopefully can, I think one, like, you're your biggest critic. So like, I genuinely think people care about you and people want the best for you. But also, if you're set at something and you're self-conscious about something, and for me it was my weight. Obviously my family cared and my friends cared, but you are your biggest critic. So, and I think it's the same with running. Like, if you're not happy about something, you've got the ability to change it, and it doesn't mean, don't be self-conscious about it. Like, bad things happen and it's crap, and again, it's not the be all and end all being overweight. Like, you can change it. There's a lot worse things in life. I'm not saying this is the worst, but like, don't be so embarrassed about it. Like, people genuinely don't care in a sense. So like, make that change, be consistent, and again, ask people for advice. People genuinely want to support you, and I've noticed that like, people have shown such an interest, but they don't care if I don't achieve something that I've put myself out. The only person who's going to be upset if you don't achieve the target is yourself, which is fine, but don't be so hard on yourself, and don't be so self-conscious about people judging you, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You do what makes you happy, and I do think get people involved, because it does help. I sound a bit contradictory, but I think getting people involved does help. But
that's advice, you know.
But don't be so hard on yourself in terms of, right, because I've not made it, everyone's going to judge me. Like, people won't judge you. People want to support you. And like, so for one, definitely don't be so hard on yourself. Like, I'm so hard on myself sometimes, and I sometimes forget from where I've come from. Like, sometimes, as we spoke about, I'm just like a spiral. Like, my mental health can spiral if I feel like I've done something bad in terms of eat something unhealthy, or if I've been really slow on a run and it felt awful. I sometimes find like everything's gone out the window. People don't care. Don't be so hard on yourself. And people are genuinely there to support you.
100%.
And then in terms of like my journey, just consistency. Turn up every day, even if you have a bad day. The next day, turn up again. Because it will. You'll improve. And I found it so hard in the first 6 months to actually see results.
Yeah.
And to be fair, because I had so much weight to lose, it did drop off quite quickly. Like the more weight you have to lose, the quicker it drops off. 100%. So I know not everyone will start from where I am, but people may want to lose 1 stone or 2 stone or like even 5 kilograms. It will get harder, and it got harder for me as I went on. But like just taking progression pics, knowing that every day you're improving yourself, both physically and mentally, will help. So consistency, and also don't be so hard on yourself.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, anyway, it's been great having you on.
Thank you.
It's been, no, honestly, thank you. It's been great. It's been really, things have definitely been really, like, I don't want to say inspiring because it just sounds a bit naff, but it is inspiring, and I think it's good to hear from like not to name the podcast, but a real person about it instead of like an influencer. So honestly, thank you for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you. It's quite a personal one.
I know, yes.
Like, again, if anyone wants to reach out, I'm sure you're going to attack me. Yeah. Because that weight loss is a personal thing, but it does help having. I would speak to loads of people about weight loss.
Yeah.
I remember this one guy on Instagram. I'm not going to drop his name, but I'd speak to him all the time about weight loss, and he'd give me tips, and it'd just support me. Yeah. And if I had a bad day, I'd message him. And it sounds weird, but like, no, it's just getting advice from someone really helps. Yeah. And now I speak to quite a few people, and like, I get advice.
You can do it the other way around.
It does, and like, I speak to family, and it helps. Yeah.
Well, now you can be in his shoes and do the other thing.
For
But
sure.
anyway, honestly, it's been great having you on.
Thank you.
For your time. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Of course, yeah.